I'm joined by Roscoe, who is the head ref and very instrumental in this rule set. It was a concept put together by Lee Kendall, but Viv's the person who's written these rules up and has had a lot of influence in it. Morning, Viv.
Good morning.
So, why the Supreme Rules?
The whole concept of the Supreme Rule Series is to bring two worlds together, and the players spoke to Lee and asked him to set up a hybrid set of rules to reflect what the whole thing was about.
Okay, so you're familiar with the game of pool, obviously. So what we're going to do, we're just going to start from the outset. We're going to talk about the break and the differences in the break. If Viv will hold the mic for a second, I'll have a go at breaking the balls.
Okay.
Anything could happen now, Viv.
Good luck.
I'm going to use a racket. I'm going to try not to rip the cloth.
Okay, that's a good start.
But we'll have a go. So, as usual, breaking from...
In the Supreme Rules, we don't have a bulk because you just have a break line. So anywhere behind the break line.
Yep. And just fire away.
To perform a legal break, you have to score 4 points. A point can be scored by either potting ball or any object ball fully coming past the imaginary line between the centre of the centre pockets.
Okay.
So that was a very nice legal break.
But I didn't put anything.
No?
So, what happens if the black goes in?
If the black goes in on its own, it is respotted in Supreme Rules, and as you've scored 4 points, the opponent will come to the table and carry on.
Okay.
If you had potted another ball with it and scored 4 points, it is respotted and you keep control of the table.
So, say for example, I potted 2 balls off the break.
Yes.
How do we now decide rule set? Or even in this situation, nothing's down, the opponent comes to the table. How do we choose the ball set?
The group, yes.
Group.
If the player queues up, can I borrow that cue?
Of course.
If a player is queuing up, obviously aiming at that yellow,
Yep.
his intention is to go for the group yellows.
Yep.
If he again goes for a red ball and it's very, very clear that's what he's doing, that's his intended ball.
Okay.
The problem you may have is if, for example, if the white's up here, for example, and he's aiming at something like that,
Yep.
because those balls are very close together,
Yep.
because the reds and yellows are quite open, his preference I can't tell.
Yeah.
So the onus then is on the player to call a group. So he has to call either reds or yellows
Okay.
in that case.
So if there's any ambiguity whatsoever,
Yes.
the onus is on the player to call the group.
Yes, yes.
Yep.
If I'm table reffing, because I want the game to be fair, I will probably ask them to. But in the arena, obviously, when you're playing, the sporting thing to do would be always to call your group.
Okay. So now we come on to combination shots.
Yes.
So combination shots are legal?
No, they're not illegal. Did you
No,
say
legal.
illegal? Oh, yes,
Legal.
of course they are. Yeah. Interestingly, on the break, a combination shot can be used to decide the groups, but you would be on the group that you struck first.
Yeah.
So if you, for example, played the red onto the yellow and got the combination shot,
Yeah.
you would be on reds.
So basically, if both balls are potted, because
Yeah.
you'd hit the red first.
You can do that, yes.
Excellent.
And in any other, in general play, combination shots are legal, yes.
Okay, so now what happens? We've got this combination shot. We're on reds. We want to pot the yellow. We want to drop the red in afterwards. So that's obviously a legal combination shot, and the player continues. What happens if he fails? He pots the yellow, and the red stays over the pocket.
That's simply a loss of turn. It's not a foul in these rules. It's simply a loss of turn.
And what's that referred to as? Is it a tactical shot?
That would be called a tactical shot, yes.
So, in effect, a player could get an advantage. So, if that exact same scenario were true, and a player was on yellows, these are the last 3 balls on the table, and say the black is somewhere like here, a player could get an advantage by dropping the ball in, leaving his ball over the pocket. The oncoming player has to come to the table, and he has to play that black from where it is.
Yes, that's right, and from where the cue ball lies.
Okay.
The standard fouls in Supreme Rules are quite different. They are one visit only and a ball in hand anywhere on the table. Earlier I mentioned we don't have a ball. That's why, because the cue ball can be used anywhere on the table after a standard foul.
Okay, so just coming on to fouls. So we didn't mention at time of break. So if I go in off and create a foul, what happens in that scenario?
The break, again, is slightly different. In off the break is cue ball in hand, but you have to play it from behind the break line, as is if you break and the cue ball goes off the table, goes behind the break line. If you did that in general play, it would be one visit, ball in hand anywhere on the table. Okay,
so ball in hand anywhere on the table, but you obviously have to hit your own group. There's no free shot, is what I'm saying.
Sorry, no, definitely no free shot. There's no free shots at all in any part of this game.
Okay, so let's just touch on the total snooker. Obviously, from other rule sets, the total snooker is quite predominant.
Yes, no total snookers whatsoever. At all times, players have to play a legal shot, and a legal shot is obviously striking an on ball or potting one of your own group.
Okay.
So if you are snookered, because obviously you can be snookered, you have to make a bona fide attempt to get out of that. If, which I don't imagine will happen today, but if a bona fide attempt is not made, that would be called a loss of frame.
Okay. So what you're basically saying there is, if you've got this scenario, there's no kind of deliberate foul. If a player's on reds and he goes for yellows, then if he's deliberately gone for yellows, it's simply loss of frame. Interesting. So there's some fairly big changes in there. Yeah. How do you think the players are going to pick this up?
Well, we've run a small competition early in November, and they were playing flyers last night, and I think they found it easy. Yeah. The bones of everything is the same. It's just pool. It's about potting balls, and the intricacies of it. They seem to have taken on board quite easily. Yeah,
I think most players have said that it's one of the simplest and even the fairest rule sets they've ever played. So
I imagine it's going to be a lot faster than a lot of the rule sets we've played, and we're looking forward to it. It's very exciting.
So am I. Any other major differences that you can think of, or have we covered most of the salient points?
Put on the spot, no. I can't think of anything else right now. But there is a basic rule set out there, isn't there, that people can refer to, which has got the 16 salient points on, and the full rule set is available on the Supreme website front page anyway, if anyone wants to check it out.
Absolutely. So if you want to get a copy of that rule set, as Viv mentioned, it's on Players Pool Events Facebook page. It's pinned to the top of the page. I think there's also a précis in there, let's say a 16 point, which is going to tell you the major differences and give you an introduction to this rule set. For me, I'm thoroughly looking forward to it. As I said at the start, this is a dawn of a new era. I can't wait to see these rules in action, and I hope they become the future of pool. Very exciting times for pool, and a very exciting weekend coming up. Just enjoy yourself, guys, and we'll talk you through. See you soon.